Welcome back! In this second part of our episode on the evolution of coding, we chat with our guest about the good old days of programming, how they lived through the changes leading up to today's vibe coding, and how they foresee the future.
I'm Giorgio Zinaro.
I'm Ivan Peña, and this is Bootstrap for Cash. So let's go with the next section, which is called the good old days, but I'm going to skip some of the questions, and because otherwise this is going to be endless.
You can do a director's cut, a director's cut version.
Giorgio and I were concerned because maybe we didn't have enough content to produce at least 2 podcasts. We have a plan for the podcast until September, and we were counting on 2 podcasts out of this episode. And we were concerned, is this enough for 2 episodes? And now it's going to be probably 3. But yeah, let's give it a try. So let's go with, what was the biggest technological leap you experienced that made you say, wow, this changes everything? Marco?
Recently, LLMs and code generation and coding assistance, but I'm still not sure if it changes everything. I think it's wow, but I'm not yet convinced it changes everything. It might, but still people adopt, right? It's like back in history, the internet came and then Google came and big data, IoT, 5G, whatever. It's always big things. Does it change everything? It changes some things, but it doesn't change everything. I think it makes some things easier and some things will get harder, because like messy code will get generated, and who manages that messy code? And you get things out quicker, right? You can build new things like, I don't know, what was it on Monday? I tested to build a new IDE in 45 minutes. Okay, here we go. Nice. But what problem did I solve? I don't know, not much. But definitely it's quite a leap, moving us and everyone forward, because you can also say maybe a bit dangerous technology in the hands of everyone. But maybe I think the world will also evolve around it and build new things that before couldn't have been built. So definitely looking forward to that change. Yeah.
Mauro?
In my experience, there are many times where you...
in 40 years, for sure.
No, but also just think about the iPhone.
Yeah.
When the iPhone came and stuff like that, there are things that really change. And, even before the iPhone, when Nokia came out with the Messenger, was it called Messenger? I don't remember.
No, from Nokia. No, the Messenger from
BlackBerry?
Microsoft, MSN.
No, the phone.
That one, the big one with the keyboard.
Yeah, exactly. So all those things, and also the cellular phone. In technology, there are always things that impact our society, and of course, right now with AI, of course, another big leap. And then this morning, I was listening to an interview with Jan LeCun. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly. Maybe I did not pronounce it correctly. I'm pretty sure about it.
He's the chief engineer of Meta, right?
Yeah, and he says, I'm not interested in LLM anymore. Of course, because he's looking already at the next step, at JPA. But we will face it, and I would say every now and then you always see this big step, and it seems right now the steps are always bigger, and you get a change, you get bigger. It's like exponentially impressive and stuff like that. So I don't know. I'm excited about the future. Also scared a bit, but I'm scared. Let's put it like that. How you call it? Respectful.
Juan?
Just to contextualize a bit the question, in my, let's say, in the area of software development, do you mean, or in humanity overall?
In general, whatever technology.
I think for me, my answer was more in the context of digital product development, and digitization overall. I think cloud computing, putting resources, it's democratizing computing usage to pretty much everyone. And I really mean it, because we were able, you and I, back in 2019, to create an amazing application just with lambdas. That how much did it cost per month, Ivan? I mean, we were not running many users, but
No, but it was less than $5.
yeah, I mean, $5, a complete backend, frontend running. We had everything CI/CD automated. It's incredible. This was not possible when I was studying in the university. You had to have your server. Imagine, like, internet connection. Yeah, I could say that one. And humans, probably like end users, mobile phones.
Hmm.
I agree with Mauro.
Smartphones, right?
Smartphones, yeah.
Yeah. Giorgio?
Some very interesting ones were mentioned already. Some like cloud and infrastructure as code in particular for me. What I remember it was life changing. Well, smartphones, yes. I also remember that because I experienced that firsthand. LLMs, I think they're probably the elephant in the room. Of course, it's easier in insight, like after the fact, but the one thing in particular I would say there, it's tool calling. For me, it was tool calling, this concept of letting the LLM call functions and it actually does something useful. That was mind-blowing. That's the moment when I actually started being really interested in that. Before, I didn't feel like you could give it some structure. And the last one I would mention came back to my mind because of what we were discussing earlier, how we started learning about programming. And I remember, I mean, obviously, it's not like I invented it or I saw it start, but the day I learned about sockets and so networking, I was also mind-blowing. So before then, everything was constrained within my PC. And at some point, I was getting bored and I was thinking, okay, what's the point of all this? I was about to drop it. And then I think I got to a chapter about sockets and I could get two machines to communicate. Say, wow, this is mind-blowing. So now this is what it's all about. And in a similar fashion is, I think, something that also was mind-blowing lately. And not a big fan of Elon, and we mention him a lot, but fuck, I need to mention this. First time I saw Starlink in action, and actually, I mean, it's complicated for many reasons. It has
You mean flying over your head?
lots of cons, yes, but the whole idea behind it is mind-blowing, and yes, that also changes a lot of things. Because the world is not as connected as we believe, coming from first world nations, and yeah, that's also, I think that's also going to change a lot of things.
You just reminded me of the time that I implemented my first chat with Java, actually, because of sockets, because I wanted to learn about sockets, and I say, what should I do with this? Let's implement a chat. So the first time I saw a message from a computer from a friend, actually my friend Jose, he sent me a message through my chat, the chat I implemented, and I saw it in my screen. It was like, I did that.
Well, that's called NetSend now. If you guys remember, kind of just sending messages to all the others in your room, that was the biggest fun ever. I think one guy once did a NetSend store, and it just went to the whole network. That wasn't that good, but
And then one of the biggest technological leaps for me, probably Giorgio is going to laugh, is YouTube. And he's laughing. Because thanks to YouTube, I don't have to read anymore. So I can watch it.
it's called audiobooks.
No, but YouTube was first. Audiobooks didn't exist before that.
So a YouTube video is 5 minutes.
Exactly.
Usually.
YouTube videos
So that's Ivan's attention span.
Exactly. It's maximum half an hour. That's my attention span. And so audiobooks is hours. So still better YouTube. To the point that actually I was paying for it with the Colombian rate, because I bought it in Colombia when I took advantage to do it there, because it was like $4 per month, and I say, oh, this is this is my chance. And I was paying for it for $4 per month until they realized that I was not living in Colombia. And I'm paying the Spanish one, which is 13 or so per month. And I'm paying still for it. So imagine if I'm paying for something, it's really bringing me added value. So yeah.
And also writing it off as a business expense.
I am doing that too, yes. I mean, all my research and stuff about AI is mostly coming from YouTube. So yeah, it's a business expense. From the all good days, what do you miss? In general, let's mix the two last questions. So what do you miss from the good old days, which is related to has building a product become easier or more difficult? Because maybe some of those points that you wanted to cover in the second questions are the things that you miss the most from the past. And I have a couple of them already in mind. So Marco, go for it.
Yeah, it depends what good old days are. I mean, if I go back in PL SQL code writing, I'm not sure if it was very good. But I mean, you could say at least we built a product and customers were using it, banks were using it. So maybe it was good. But that I don't miss. I miss maybe more kind of the working a team spirit, working on a product together. I think that's definitely something I miss. And then kind of building a product, if it's become easier nowadays. Not sure honestly, because you should always dive into the business problem, right? What's the customer's problem and how can you solve it? Is that easier with just generating UX and UIs and then generating code? I don't know. You really need to do research and then put yourself in the shoe of the customer and then solve a business problem. And that doesn't change if then someone else takes over and builds your product. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's become much easier, honestly.
Mauro?
I mean, same question. Define good old days.
Are you happier now?
With respect to what? I mean,
when technologically,
before AI or
technologically, I mean, no, today is 23rd of July of 2025. Are you happier now than ever before when you go to your job to do whatever you need to do, or when you do some nerdy stuff or build a product?
I mean, for me, it's always like being like solve a problem for what I have around it. I mean, solve a problem, have a challenge, solve to it, then dive into it, communicate with the people around me, and try to solve together a problem. I mean, as long as that is fine, then I don't care what it is. I don't care what kind of like resources do you have, what kind of like tools do you use. Of course, there are something that gives you a better experience. But for me, always said the most important part is working together jointly to solve a challenge ahead. I mean, as long as that is there, I don't care. It's yeah, it can be overseen. I can like forget about it.
What?
I mean, beers with colleagues after work. Absolutely.
I mean, you were doing already that in the past. Come on.
Yeah, but we're spending so much time now with LLMs and talking to virtual agents, and nobody wants to ask a question because you're gonna feel so dumb, like, oh my god, I don't know the latest and greatest, and I have it checked with ChatGPT or with whatever that is. And before you were forced, because Reddit could give you some, or Stack Overflow could give you some information, but you had to spend hours and hours. So you had always like a guy near you who knew LiveRay more than you, or Vadim from Java, or whatever that is, or PL SQL. Mauro was like the master of disaster on that. I don't care. But you were forced to socialize more, and later on go for a beer. And now we're working more. I think it's good on the one hand, autonomously. On the other hand, it's my personal feeling. I don't interact at that level with peers anymore.
It's interesting because you just described a Giorgio, right? So it's like everyone has a Giorgio next to you and always knows more about everything because he reads. That's my feeling. So Giorgio, just by reference.
Bunch of things, improvements. Well, a lot. There are many things that are nicer. I mentioned developer experience, right? Building things is better in many ways because of better tools that we have in general. I always feel like we are building on the shoulders of giants. So yes, in that regard, it's easier. We have better tools. At the same time, it's also the users' expectations that have gone up a lot. The competition is, the bar is very high, so it's also harder to do good products. Also, or let's say the threshold that's where something is a good product, so that makes things harder. And one thing I don't particularly like is how everything has moved to the web, to the browser, and somehow we've got very powerful hardware where we could say we're reaching limits on CPUs, physical limits. Although, well, now we're also getting better at that. Apple evolved a lot through thanks to the memory, the improvements with Apple Silicon, but still we have more and more powerful hardware. And it feels like applications are not getting better. Like they are consuming more resources. They are slower to use. Also, the browser is, yes, browsers can do many more things, and yet applications are not always better at actually fixing problems, what we were saying earlier. So that's something I don't particularly like.
There are two things I miss from the good old days. One is debugging. It was much easier back then. Nowadays, it's too complex. You need this. I mean, there are companies around monitoring tools and all that, right? So if you need that complex systems just to monitor, it's because monitoring is much harder now, which makes sense. And the second thing is UX. So if you remember back in 2000, UX was not a thing. You just could go live with whatever. If it just solves your problem, it's fine. I go with it, I pay for it, and so on. You are done. But nowadays, UX is considered one of the advantages that a company can have. It's actually in the Y Combinator, they tell you either you are better at pricing, or you are better at functionality, or you are better at whatever, and one of them is UX. And I hate that because it requires so many things to do good UX that I don't have and I don't want to learn right now, because it's one of them, as we mentioned before, is psychology. You need to understand human psychology to do good UX. So yeah, those are the things. In some ways, things were simpler back then. And now with AI, debugging is going to be crazy, right? You need to consider the guardrails and all this shit so that the model doesn't hallucinate, and you need to build an agent so that one of the models is controlling the other model output, and then, So yeah, I think it's getting too complex.
But now, question, Ivan, to you. You always like saying, I don't like UX and stuff like that. I don't want to understand the psychology of peoples and stuff like that. But come on, I don't get it.
Why?
No, because you like to understand things, and you also like to understand people. But it's like saying, I want to communicate to somebody, but I don't want to learn the language.
I want to understand how to interact with them, but not to how they interact with my product.
Mauro is a backend developer.
Yeah, but that's exactly the same thing.
Yeah, it could be, but I like to complain. I'm Spanish.
No, the thing is, like,
Juan felt offended by reference.
No, but I agree with Ivan. I mean, it really depends on your priorities, right? There is nothing wrong, of course, understanding human psychology, but you just want to build a product, and you just want to maybe focus on solving a very difficult problem and leave the interface with the user to somebody who is more social, extrovert, or who likes more talking to people, interacting with them. And it's not lack of interest, it's just different taste. So I understand him. I mean, I got as well, when I was building the startup, quite exhausted after interviewing so many users, getting their feedback, iterating. Sometimes you get mixed leading feedback. One tells you something, the other tells you something different, and you always have to extract the global insights, so to say the average. And it can
seems
be
like debugging.
Yeah, but
It
you are
seems like
debugging
debugging
with
people.
people.
Yeah, I mean, but it's debugging. I mean, it's trying to find and that's the challenge. Solve a problem, if you want to say.
So let's move on to the next section, vibe coding. What's your take on vibe coding, Marco?
I love it. I love it. You sit in the train and you put a prompt, and at the end of the train you have something up and running, or reiterate on something, or just I mean also I don't need to build a product, right? It's really building prototypes, and I think for prototypes it's fantastic. You have an idea, you put in some prompts, and something gets spit out, and you continue a bit until it's actually up and running. I must say, I think I started, I don't know how many hundreds of ideas already, and I'm not sure how many I made actually running. I think that's a challenge. That's a challenge, because then you say, okay, let's stop. It takes too long. Let me jump to the next idea, and you have like hundreds of projects not finished. But in my world, it doesn't matter much, right? That's not an issue. That's actually a good thing, because you just start exploring other things, other ideas, build new prototypes. So for that, I love it. But I think in the enterprise world or in the real world, I don't know. I don't see a proper use case there that you should do vibe code and continue to evolve your product. You should just do proper coding with code assistance, right?
Let's highlight here that latest news from AI. One of them is a guy in some company was trying to do vibe coding with Replit, and it seems the agent from Replit deleted the whole production database. Luckily, they could roll back, but yeah,
because they have snapshots, and so they made it safe.
Yeah, but yeah. I can picture his face when he was seeing the whole production being deleted, right?
Control C, Control C, Control C.
Yeah, but that happens also without vibe coding.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it happens if you don't have the right policies.
Mauro?
I mean, vibe coding, it's for building a product, or for on my job and stuff, and that it's very risky. I don't like it. I like it as Marco was saying, for prototyping, trying out things and stuff like that. But when you start really to have then the code that you need for production, then it's not anymore vibe coding. I mean, I use the LLM for reference. I use the LLM maybe to draw out something, or maybe to like ask, simplify the code. Do you see any simplification that I haven't seen? It's kind of like a double check sometimes that I use. But because my experience, if you rely heavily on vibe coding, first, you don't know what he has done. And even if you tell it to use certain architectural pattern, then it starts to it starts good, but then it starts moving things around, leaves pieces of things here and there, and then that it doesn't find itself anymore sometimes. And I mean, I've tried it out, for example, last week, as I said, with Kiro extensively for an idea that I had in mind. And now yesterday I pick it up again because it wasn't running. Then I look through the code, tell him to change a couple of things, and still didn't work. And then it was like always in the same loop, gave different context, but then he was not resolving the problem. Then I just dive deep into the code, fix it, like way faster than the time that I spent telling him to fix it. And so, like, if it's just vibe coding, and then you leave it there and nobody has to touch it, okay, fine. But then if you need to evolve that product, slim chances.
Actually, we are seeing more and more this situation, right? You have IT knowledge, coding knowledge, but there are certain people, standard people that are trying vibe coding. They go to production, they get customers, they get paid, and then at some point they hit a bug, and they try to fix it with vibe coding because they don't know how to fix it themselves. And they start bleeding money and customers and so on because they have no clue, to the point that this has become a new role, a new job. There are people out there offering their services to solve vibe coding issues to those people that cannot do it themselves, right? And actually with a good rate, guys, if you want to change career.
Senior vibe coding assistant. Sounds
Yes.
good. Sounds good.
No, the thing, I mean, if you think about it, it's, and then if everybody starts to do vibe coding, who learns how to code?
But do you need to in the future? I mean, do you still need to know how to drive in the future? In 30 years?
I think it will be like a hobby that you go to some place like driving cars, fast cars. You go to some kind of track and you do it as a hobby, and you even pay for it. Maybe it's a new business model. Do you want to drive?
It makes sense. I mean, it's like saying, do you need to learn instructions? You know, do you need to learn assembler? So it's like probably yes. So natural language is the next programming language.
But let's keep it there because the future is coming. In the future is coming afterwards. It's the next section. So let's not get into the future yet, and let's go with one. What's your take on vibe coding?
I love it.
I knew that.
Yeah, because it helps me to speed up the learning of new frameworks, of new programming languages. It helps me as well to increase my creativity when I do POCs. Also for styling purposes, you can always say, make it this style or the other style, or help me to create, I don't know, an application that is going to help consumers to do ABC. So for all those activities, it's great. And as well, sometimes, take into consideration that I'm in a pre-sales role. So for a pre-sales role, it's amazing. It's great.
Yeah,
so it helps you to speed up prototypes and ideas, and as well to test technology, right? Or a new framework or which programming language you want to. It helps a lot. I see as well a risk when it comes about evolving a legacy product. First of all, actually, because most of those LLMs are trained on public data. So they don't have so much context on certain internal coding practices and the logic that many enterprises have developed themselves for years. And I still believe that, those models need to be fine-tuned and retrained to be able to provide something meaningful. So I could stick it to more pre-sales roles, and I think it's great.
Giorgio.
Vibe coding, mixed feelings, I would say.
I was expecting that too.
You're not yet in the vibe.
So depends on the definition. So I tried at some point that I approve everything, just get everything from the AI, just approve, which is supposedly the definition of vibe coding, that the guy who mentioned vibe coding first. And the horrible results in that case, to be honest. I mean, you look at the pull request at the end, say, wait, did I really write this shit? It's like a very eager junior developer giving so much code. And I try to be good at it, like I use cursor rules, I read documentation first and give it to the AI, say, hey, please do it accordingly to this documentation. I use the latest feature, and it didn't really read the documentation. At the same time, the nice thing about that is that it gets me moving. So sometimes as a perfectionist, I want to do something and I have some ideas how I want to do it. And I don't know where to start, and I keep reading and I keep debating internally how I should get something done. And it's a very good way to get the ball rolling. So I get the AI to do it. And then I look at the code and it's shit and say, no, you shouldn't have done it this way. and I have something to fix, and I actually get started because I get the motivation, say, no, this is completely wrong. This is not how you should do it. So yeah, mixed feelings, but it's quite good. Quite good. It's quite very, very different way of working, but
Yeah, in my case, I'm also quite happy because it brings me up to speed like I want to. For prototypes and stuff, I think is pretty good. But when I get into more productive stuff, like for instance, for Pretty Progress, the app that I'm building with Sanudo, I require some math knowledge or calculations, geometrics and so on, or geometry to build the widgets, how they react to the different sizes that the user can create in Android, because that's another pain from Android. The widgets can grow and grow as much as you want, unlike on iOS that you only have preset sizes. So to do that, I need to do some math and some geometry. And when I get to that, I expect the LLM to be smart enough to build those for me. It's a nightmare. Even with O3, I tried with Grok and so on. They are unable to build exactly what I need to achieve the use case. So at the end, I need to do it myself.
You need to read geometry book.
Yeah, exactly. I need to. Oh, come on again.
Where is YouTube?
University shit and maths and so on. Yeah. Some of them, I was surprised. Some of them I remember already still. So I was actually quite surprised. And I think vibe coding is a positive thing for me, although it's not yet to the level that I want it to. So I'm going to skip some questions, by the way, because we need to move on. Some of you already mentioned something, but what are the vibe coding tools? Your favorite vibe coding tool, Marco?
Q and Kiro.
It's not the same.
Good question. We not sure we should answer that.
No.
Not yet. They're not the same. Similar, but not the same.
Okay.
Now Kiro is the agentic ID, and Q is the QCLI Q ID, and you can use them both in comparison.
Okay.
But actually, I also use, if you want to answer some of the others, I use Gemini CLI, Cloud Code, Cursor, Windsurf.
But your favorite is Kiro.
So far for what I need to do, yes, because I need to build prototypes or test prototypes or build new ideas, and I really like this spec-driven design, and kind of you iterate over specifications and then let it build, like literally let it just task one, okay, go and build. You have a coffee, you have a drink, you have a meeting, and half an hour later it's finished. Of course, not everything works, then you need to fine-tune it a bit, but I think for now, for what I need to do, that's perfect.
Do you have drinks where you are vibe coding?
Dreams.
Drinks.
Of course.
You said have a drink.
Of course, in the evening, you go have drinks or coffee or
Caipirinha.
Of course.
Mauro?
I mean, Cursor, it's good. Now, last week, thanks to Marco, I tried out Kiro, and I really like the spec, the planning requirements, and then the task building. I mean, it gets you really a good. I mean, that sense is it's really good. It's a good approach, very nice approach, I must say. Kudos to came up with that idea, I must say. And now, was it yesterday? So, for example, in IntelliJ and the Copilot, they also have the agent. So I have to try it out because that sounds pretty cool. That I have my IntelliJ and I have like the same feeling than with Cursor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you can or whatever, you can set up rules. No idea. Didn't try it out, but I will have a look at it. But right now, if I had to say to one, I would say Kiro. It's pretty cool, the stuff that I mean, the idea, the concept of it.
Now that you mentioned that, maybe Giorgio needs to go back to pay the JetBrains fee again because he dropped it.
No, let me try it out and then I can give you feedback, George.
Juan?
Yeah. So for terminal, Cloud Code, and prototyping, I mean, it's still a preview. But as well, I really like the Kiro concept. It's it abstracts you a lot from all the different tasks of coding. It's really very agentic driven, and I think this is a new approach on vibe coding. I like it. Let's see. I mean, it's still in preview, and I think it's going to develop, but it works really, or it goes into the right direction from my point of view.
Giorgio?
Yeah, many good tools already mentioned for code. I would also mention here Google Stitch, which as a particularly poor UI designer, I really love it. Because you can describe your design, get some, call them, not wireframes, because they're really high quality designs for your UI. You can export that to Figma, and also it helps with that getting unblocked. The brightest block I mentioned earlier, it helps doing the same, but with Figma in this case, or again with designing your UI. And I really like that one. It's a tool I really enjoy, and I think we should add the link in the podcast description.
Oh, nice. Looking at it. So it's beta. Okay.
Yeah, actually, one of our products is designed with that. I think it's live monetized.
It's with live monetize, especially since part of it is going to be also, let's say, public phase. Part of it is really a sort of a landing page, so it needs to look good. We got some really good ideas from this Google Stitch, and then you can take the screenshots, or you can take the Figma design, iterate on it, but you could also take the screenshot and put it as an input in Cursor and say, hey, please design something based on this. So pretty powerful concept in my opinion.
My side is Cursor for now, although they are doing some shit lately, so I hope they don't screw it up. Yeah, but for now it's that. Although I saw already, I sent it to you guys, this Kanban-like thing that basically you have a Kanban board, you create the tasks that you want to work on, and then from those tasks, you can assign them to agents behind the scenes. And they support already Cloud Code, Gemini CLI, and a couple of them more. I think Codex as well from OpenAI. And basically you delegate on those, and they work on the task, and they create the PR on GitHub. So you just need to create the task, what you want to work on. They do it for you. They create a PR, and then you review them, and then you can just merge them. So I think in a way, hopefully Atlassian is going to see this and they will probably integrate. I mean, I guess it's a matter of time that they will integrate it with Jira and Trello and so on. So, but let's see. It looks nice. I think it looks good, especially if managers want to get rid of developers and do everything themselves. But I don't know. I don't think we are still there that you can 100%, as we mentioned already, you cannot 100% rely on the agents, right, to come up with a proper product. But for prototyping and so on, I think it gives them a lot of independence. So what's your favorite model, Marco? Quickly.
Claude 4.
Claude 4. Mauro?
No. I would say right now for coding, I use mostly Claude 4.
Sonnet or Opus?
Sonnet.
Marco?
I think so. I don't even check. I think
you just saw Claude, that you're fine with that, right?
Claude is good.
Claude is good. Juan?
Yeah, I mean, of course. That's the one I have to work with every day, and I really like it. So I will stick to it. Although that's for programming purposes. For checking information, I really like Perplexity because I get it with Revolut.
Yeah, but Perplexity they don't have their own model.
I know. They have different models, and I play with different. And to be honest, I don't see like a big difference, for most of the tasks. So I could say for coding Claude, I've been using 3.7. 4 not so much, but I'm happy with 3.7 anyway. And for searching information or getting, latest and greatest news, etc. Yeah, most of the models available in Perplexity work well for me.
Giorgio?
Yeah, one thing that reminds me also, like, yeah,
No,
sorry,
no, it's
you
fine.
know, want to. No, I was thinking what I use also a lot of is Google Studio. So for for when for project, I have to like bring all my ideas around and reason and structure it and so forth. That in the past month, I've been using it quite a lot to structure my ideas. Even for planning things that I need at a customer side for brainstorming reason and so forth. I use quite a lot, and then there I use Gemini 2.5 Pro.
Giorgio?
Whatever cursor likes.
Auto. You put it in auto.
Nah, usually yes, actually.
Mm-hmm. I think Claude as well. Although Musk is already coming up with a specific coding model for Grok 4, and I think it's coming soon, is the next step for Grok 4. So let's see. I mean, what Grok can do already, Grok 4, they say that it's super powerful at coding and so on, and it's true, but it requires certain pre-steps that are like, for instance, this guy from YouTube was training it out, and it had to define that the model should define the dependencies for whatever library it was using. Because if you wouldn't tell it specifically in the prompt, it will not do it. It will just assume that it's using some library, but it forgets about adding it to the dependencies. And for me, it's like, this is basics, right? I mean, you don't have to ask for the dependencies to any of the models right now.
Yeah, they will correct.
Yeah, probably. And again, this one is the Grok the generalist Grok 4, and now they are building a model or training a model specifically for coding. And so let's see, maybe it gets much better. But for now, it's definitely Anthropic. And since Juan and I are investors of it, I have to like it. By the way, I forgot to mention the name of this Kanban-like tool. It's called vibe-kanban. I will put it also in the description in case you want to give it a try. So if a young person asks you if they should learn how to code, what would you tell them, Marco?
If they should learn how to code, or if they should learn to, even if they should learn to code?
Even if they should learn to code.
I would say yes, still. I think to spark the interest in, let's say, the history. Maybe, in 50 years of time, no one is coding anymore. Who knows? But at least spark the interest, as when I started computer science, like you start learning about ones and zeros and how computers were invented. I think the foundation is always important. So I think programming languages will remain important, and learning them should be as well as a foundation. But it depends what you want to achieve, right? There's many people that they went to Harvard, and midway they jumped out and built a product. At that time they could develop, yes, but nowadays maybe you don't need to, but you still can have success. So it really depends a bit where you want to go.
Actually, nowadays it looks like you need to be a dropout to have success. It looks like YC and all these are kind of promoting that, although they will never say that, but it sounds like it.
So it seems we all did something wrong because we all finished our masters and
we were too responsible. Yes. Good thing though is that I partnership with a dropout. So thank you, Giorgio, for being a dropout. So you can compensate. You can compensate.
Dropped out of uni, yes.
Mauro?
Yeah, if the person likes it or the individual likes it. I mean, it's not that even if coding will disappear, that we don't use it. Let's assume that why not? Because coding also teaches you different things, teaches you to work with people, teaches you to do abstractions, and you train your brain in solving also problem to be creative and using the tools. So whatever you like to do, you will profit from it. And coding, from my experience, like, because if you really want to learn coding, but if you just code just to code, I don't know, it's like I mean, you see the person who are interested, like reading coding to understand the issue. It doesn't matter what they do, you know. So if the individual likes it, yeah, go for it. As long as you do it consciously.
Juan?
Yeah, I guess it's the main question. Why do they want to learn coding? If it's for personal interest, I would say obviously yes. If it's for professional interest, depending on, I could ask, okay, what do you want to do? What's your job? And how important maybe coding is for you.
Let's assume this guy wants to be a solo founder and build a software product. Would you recommend them?
Absolutely, then yes. Because as soon as, the AI does something that, I mean, software is the main, so to say, resource to build his company. And if he doesn't know, how coding works, it's very risky. Absolutely.
Giorgio?
Yes, definitely, 100%. Also, coding is a bit reductive, but there is a bunch of things that you learn along with, let's say, software engineering. So we mentioned networking earlier, or again, debugging, especially reading code, even more important than writing code. You need to be able to read code and review it. So many things that also the longest something has existed, the higher the chance that it will keep existing. This idea that this is suddenly not a thing anymore is just unrealistic. Yes, we have something on top now. It doesn't mean we need to learn less. It probably means we need to learn even more, actually. So we need to start somewhere.
Good, let's move on to the last section, finally. We are 2 hours already of episode. So definitely we are going to get 2 episodes out of this.
Director's cut. Director's cut.
So the next section is the future of coding. Marco, how do you see programming evolving in the next 5 to 10 years? Do you think we will still write code?
Yes, absolutely. I think still writing code is part of it, and help kind of our coding assistants to be better, especially in enterprise world where you need to integrate with lots of systems, subsystems, that can't be at this point in time. I think it's a hard challenge. So I think integration, interfaces, all of that still needs humans to code some stuff or help build the code. So yes, but maybe some parts less, right? Like really easy things that have been developed hundreds and hundreds of times, as we did before. We went to Stack Overflow, copy paste for very simple stuff. For that stuff, you don't need it, right? You just let it generate. But definitely will change a bit the way how we work.
Mauro?
Yeah, I agree with that. We will still need to write code. That for sure. How, what tools are, stuff like that. How many people will do that? Yeah.
Juan?
Yeah, absolutely. We will still code, but I think there will be a difference between probably new created startups companies that are starting right now and existing enterprises. And the roles of developers will be different based on which company they are working in. So I think for companies that are starting right now, they will be able to use the greatest and latest innovation tools, and that will change as well their way of working. Probably they will be able to speed up more their development by using or increasing AI assistance, and also relying more on specific tools and focusing more in specific skills to run their business. And the direction of how software engineers will evolve probably is going to come from companies that are starting now, while enterprise developers still have to balance the innovation with the legacy system and all the security mechanisms that big enterprises have. So they will, of course, keep using tools like Cursor, like Amazon Q Developer, etc., Copilot. But they will really have to do still for some years code reviews, understand well the code, be more, more in contact with the legacy code and understand the logic better. So I think there will be two speeds.
Giorgio?
Yes, again, I think that the longest we've been doing something, the higher the chance that we'll keep on doing it for a similar amount of time. So yes, we will still be coding, but probably the roles are going to evolve. I think it's already the case. It's already something that's happening in the market. I'm not quite sure how they will evolve. There is this idea that it will be product managers that will need to learn just enough about code so that they can do product, as we said, code reviews and defining requirements in such a way that AI agents can actually work efficiently. But if you think about it, that's the role nowadays of usually like senior engineers in the team or like principal engineers. So you could say, oh, then the role of the product manager becomes less relevant as they have even more time, or maybe more boilerplate. I hope that we will not get to do as much of that. Not because we should let AI write much boilerplate, but maybe because we can have even better abstractions. We can be even more efficient in designing frameworks and such. So I'm not quite sure how it will change, but whether we will still write code 5 years, 10 years, yeah.
We all have seen the latest product from OpenAI, right? ChatGPT agent. It seems that we are moving towards this paradigm in which an agent or several agents can interact with each other and give them access to all the tools that you can have in a computer. So that opens up a lot of possibilities, right? So, for instance, right now, I think, as far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, there is still no agent setup that can go from business requirements till the end. So the product going live, designing the architecture, what are the cloud providers that best suit the different use cases, and so on. But this kind of agents that have control over all these different tools, why not? Right? Those agents, one agent could take care of the business gathering or business requirements gathering. Another one could take care of the architecture design, choosing the different tools that needs to be used, the different cloud providers, and so on, and do a design with it. And then other agents take care of the coding part and the deployment to the different platforms and so on, everything end to end. Do you think this is possible in the near future, that agents can take care of the whole process? Marco?
I think so. Yes. I mean, feed LLMs with the right amount of information, and kind of give them access to the tools they need.
But we saw this problem with Replit, right? That the agent deleted the database from production. Is this really smart? Not this case.
Yeah, because you could have said maybe there was no supervisor agent that could have, or there was no guardrail, right, to prevent it. So in the end, a fool with a tool is still a fool, or what is the saying, right? So you still need to operate and use them accordingly, use the tools accordingly, right? But I think from technology wise, definitely. At the end, it's more or less just API calls and execute things, and as long as you have them available, trigger them properly. Why not, right? What else are we as humans doing? We push code, we deploy code, we put it somewhere. We need to research on a website what to build. In the end, I believe yes. I mean, look at the autonomous driving. We thought some years ago it's not possible. Well, now the cars are driving around themselves. So definitely it goes in that direction.
Mauro?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I'm not sure if it will be through LLMs or not, or a next generation AI, but AI will eventually do that without issues. I mean, as long as you train the model correctly and you give rules and so forth, I think so too. I mean, the evolution is here and you can see it. I mean, I was also like listening to an interview um, about an accounting system where they're using AI. And in accounting, if you screw it up, if the CFO just tries it out and something is screwed up, it will never use the tool again. And so they're really developing towards this direction that it's really at a high level. So I mean, you can train the AI to do what you want to do, and if you give the AI the access to the tool that you use to resolve a problem or to do actions, then probably yes. Already right now you see different pipelines that are able to be done from front to end. So I mean, also look at Kiro. You say you have the whole requirement, planning, actions. Now you just need to add as well the infrastructure part, but you have infrastructure as code, so why not? So and then you add the agent, you have the MCP service that connect then to the backend. It connects the agent talk with and the agents talk within themselves, and they deploy the whole thing. Yeah, I mean it's possible. Very, very realistic.
Juan?
I think it's a great idea for a new product. I say. No, really. I mean, it's just connecting the dots. Now everything is in silos. You just create a platform, where product development focuses more in an agentic driven workflow. And why not? So you have from the ideation point of view all the way to development, CI/CD, and observability. And basically it fits itself. So when you do canary releases and you deploy several times, the model keeps observing basically based on the hypothesis how users are reacting. Like, why not? I think the biggest challenge here is the current way of working, that we have different tools that are specialized in project planning, in CI/CD. But if somebody comes with a very lean product based on agents, and I really think what I mentioned before, that startups will go into this direction sooner or later, and probably they will be the ones pushing this forward and later on being adopted by, I don't know, enterprises in the future. If you guys implement it, think of me.
Yeah, the thing is, I see, for instance, let's put Replit or Lovable. You still need a human giving you the user prompt to get the idea and build it. And I guess they deploy it as well. Although I know they use GitHub to store the code, but I don't know what infrastructure they use to deploy it, because I think they deploy it. But I guess they just use one cloud provider, maximum two. So what I have in my mind is something that does the research for the different specific use cases and selects the different products from the different cloud providers that are the best for that use case, right? So I go for AWS for that thing, I go to Azure for that thing, and then just...
There's only one cloud provider. No, I mean, you could also argue they're interchangeable a bit. Why would you need to go and select? I would honestly say you could just choose one and you go with it, right? I don't see that you need a meta thing that selects a cloud provider's product from the best. I think you can build whatever more or less nowadays with any of the big cloud providers.
But then you think that the only thing that Replit needs to go end to end is basically removing the human part, getting the idea. You just get some deep research agent to go on Reddit and find pains out there. Then it creates the prompt itself and fits it to
more features. Correct. Yeah, maybe they're missing features, right? Some specific technology yet that they don't have because you want to build the use case for XYZ and then you don't have it. Let's say, I don't know, in manufacturing industry or telecommunications where you want to build a use case For now, I don't think you can build that with Lovable or Replit, right? But it's just point in time that they add some components and say, well, for this industry and for this use case, well, here's another box and prompt it, and it gets added, right? Let's say at least if it's browser based or kind of web based, yeah.
Giorgio?
There are a couple of thoughts based on everything you said so far. And one is we talked about starting from business requirements, you do whatever else. And yes, I agree with all of you that, starting from business requirements, you can do everything else. You can find ways to automate everything else. However, define business requirements. And I feel like that's the one of, if not the hardest part of our job. You said, Ivan, that you don't like understanding users. That's not true. Or maybe you don't like it, you don't enjoy it, but it ends up being a huge part of our job. Discussions to understand what the actual problem is being solved. Figuring out what is truly a requirement and what is somebody's preconception about the problem. Digging deeper. It's a remarkably hard problem. Even as humans, we find it very hard. I say, oh yeah, there could be an AI model that does it better. Okay, maybe. As Mauro said, maybe then it's not the LLMs we know, however. And the reason for that, the reason why I think it's specifically not the LLMs we know, at least not the architecture or the way we train them today. I don't know what it is. I can't say. But it's for sure the fact that LLMs are, in a way or another, in some cases more than others, but they are sycophants. They are yes men. Whatever you say, oh yes, absolutely, that's a great idea. They never contradict whatever is in their input. There is
Isn't that a description of a consultant?
There is no critical thinking.
No. Consultant tells.
Oh, Mauro felt offended.
No, but yeah, all of us. I mean, all of us were consultants. I mean, you know exactly. I mean, it's the consultant tells you, well, if you really want to do that, then this is the consequences. I mean, I'm not going to stop you, but you say what the consequences are. You know,
an LLM does that too.
No,
not really. Consultants are very good. Also, usually, I'd say, usually you need to be very good at politics. You need to understand human psychology, as you were saying before. You need to know when you can say yes, or when you need to respectfully disagree, or explain, or again dig deeper. And this is not in any way. This is not a skill. Let's say skill in air quotes of LLMs.
Why not?
That's
Why
not
not? Like, think about, you have a product, and then you want to get a customer feedback, right? You can automate that and have agents that do surveys and talk to humans by voice, speech to speech, and then your agent starts building a new version for this set of customers that you got the feedback, and it just generates a new version and starts testing, gets the feedback, how it was used. I think in the future, it's really our imagination that blocks us, but I think the future will help us to be much quicker, smarter, and we are just more or less kind of the puppeteers and like on top, and say, okay, now we have 10% of the customers that generate more money. Okay, yeah, let's deploy this version and let's go left and right and have new ideas. And or even the LLM comes to us, or the agents come to us and tell us, hey, you should build this feature, because I think here in the market in Asia, I saw they have success in this, and build it in your product and test it, and it goes out and builds it and tests it and gets direct customer feedback and evolves itself. Why not?
There was a guy saying on social media lately that his current biggest bottleneck is his own imagination.
I would kind of agree.
Yeah, of course, LLM has all the information that we have and can replicate or make all the assumption, or that's it, replicate something, or even come up with new solutions that we haven't thought about because of all the information that it got. But it's still an LLM. So what I'm saying is it replicates the probability of the words that you've got. But I just think about also how we think. It's like even when you say nowadays with whole the coding approach that you have, do you have many agents, then start a certain direction, and then you take the best direction, and then you go on from that and so forth. It's not the way that we think, that our brain thinks. And also the product needs to be built in a way that also is in line with the mind. And LLM is just, I mean, it's just, please, apologies for that, but it gathers all the information that is in text and everything, but not really the concepts that we build in our mind. And this is what I mean. It's like it cannot really somehow, I cannot imagine that it can really replicate everything that we imagine it.
Well, there are some tests already with human brain to machine, right? Connection, in which you get this device, and then your waves, your brain waves, are interpreted by the machine. So in a way, that's another way of pattern finding, right? So if you feed, instead of text, you feed those patterns, wave patterns, to the whatever model. Doesn't have to be an LLM. Because I agree with you. I think LLMs are still restricted to achieve super intelligence. That's my personal opinion. We need something else. Because still, even Grok 4 is supposed to be closer to AGI and all that they're claiming, because it solved these problems. This benchmark called, I think it's called AGI ARC2 or R2 AGI, I don't know, which is basically solving problems that are not in their training data. And we humans we can solve them pretty easy, because we just need to, what is the thing that goes in this slot, and these kind of things we do pretty easily and pretty fast, and we don't have to learn much about it. But for the LLMs to solve those, they still, even Grok 4, they still need the biggest training infrastructure in the world to achieve that goal. So I think we are really still restricted by hardware. I don't know if that will be solved with quantum computing, but still, you need a lot of computing power to achieve that, while we humans, we don't need that. Right?
Yeah. No, I mean, it's also because everything that we feed to the LLM, it's actually what we produce. But before producing the whole thing, there are things that you don't see that the LLM does not have. I mean, that even whatever the model is, as soon as you understand first the model, my opinion, I mean, what produced the output? Because basically you're taking the output and you say, okay, what's the probability that then I can like reproduce something and stuff like that. But actually you miss the whole part of the work our brain has done. Because if you unlock that, if you get that information, then probably you can achieve what we humans do.
But at the end, those concepts are waves, brain waves, right? They are not words yet.
But not brain waves. It's how do you come to those brain waves? What produces those brain waves? Or how are they produced? Because of course you can measure the brain waves, but what produces them? If you don't, you see what I mean? It's
Yeah, definitely. But I'm not a neurologist, so
yeah, me neither. I'm just trying to applying engineering to those concepts, but
I even think neurologists don't know either yet, because yes, there is certain. So what creates a thought, right? It's what triggers a thought. I think it's not really clear, but maybe I'm wrong. But I personally, I have no clue. You are already too late when you realize that the thought is there, right? So I don't know.
Because I always like to think that our neural network has been trained over evolution. If you think about it, the information it's contained. So evolution trained that. I mean, that we don't learn certain things not that fast. There must be a reason. Because imagine if you're able to change the way that you think, your rules like that within a day. Because, I mean, you become psychopath within a day, or you become the friendlier person within 10 minutes. Imagine if that could be possible.
I mean, with CRISPR, maybe you can do it.
Yeah. No, but this is what I'm saying. The human brain contains the whole evolution. I mean, it evolved in a certain way for a reason.
So actually, we were trained over history.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, I mean, like, yeah. I mean, in genetics. I mean, it's really in genetics.
So it's actually, maybe we are really like LLMs at the end. So it's just that it took us thousands of years to train our brain, and for them it's just a couple of months.
Yeah.
So let's go with the closing thoughts. Let's assume, because actually I got some contradicting feeling, because you all said that coding in the next 5-10 years is still going to be there, is going to be needed. But at the same time, you all told me that AI could do end-to-end, the whole thing. So, but yeah, anyway, some closing thoughts. Let's assume that AI can do everything end-to-end. Would you still code as a hobby, or I don't know, just to pass your time? Marco?
Depends the timeline. 10 years, maybe 20 years. No, I want to be retired. I don't want to be coding. I want to be vibe coding and generate a unicorn in 1 hour. No, I think in 20 years, not in 10 years. Still, yes, maybe. But I think it will change. It will change, and looking forward how this changes. Using all these tools and generating new ideas. I think it's what makes humanity somehow great. We try so many things, and suddenly someone had the magic sauce that no one knew what it was, but it just was a success, right? I mean, like small examples from back in time, like Dropbox. Kind of it existed before, but somehow they made it just better, or the iPhone, or other things. And I think that's the key thing, that we keep evolving and build new things, and suddenly someone will have success with something and makes us joy or helps to solve a problem, or maybe it doesn't help to solve problems, it creates new problems, but that's what makes it interesting.
Mauro?
Don't know actually. I have
I'm
no
pretty sure you
idea.
will. I'm pretty sure you will code until you are 80.
I don't know.
You cannot type anymore. It's like, oh, I want to code.
Yeah, exactly. This is the thing. Who tells you that I'm still able to code? It's like also like Geoffrey Hinton, that he was saying he stopped coding because he was making too many mistakes.
Mhm.
So and he said, no, it's time that I stop. And that's because he was getting angry of making so many mistakes. So you never know. And of course, if it's still, I mean, I enjoy what I like. If I will still enjoy it in 10 years, yeah, I will still be coding. If I don't have anything that I enjoy more, who knows? Take care of the family, whatever. I don't know.
One.
So I believe that still we will not code so much, but I have another specific, more abstract job that will be required. When I say that generative AI before will be able to do or work building products autonomously, I didn't mean that human inputs will not be required to improve the product. I mean, you have a system that can definitely have a feedback loop and improve itself. But if you want to probably differentiate from other companies that are exactly doing the same, you will need to differentiate yourself with something. And I don't know if that's going to be your data or it's going to be people like always who have a brilliant idea and input into the system. So I still believe that we will bring this creative, innovative approach that makes something or a product different and will capture public attention. And I still believe that we are not that close to have these applications that will do it everything for us. Maybe in 5 years, I don't know. But so far, still reasoning models like full context understanding, environment understanding. So there are a lot of basically missing pieces that I still require to have this complete view. And if I could keep personally coding, no, not, but for a very simple reason, because I think the focus is going to be somewhere else. That coding sooner or later is going to be something which is happening now, democratized, and it's going to be more like a commodity, something that sooner or later can or will have a high quality coming from large language models, and our added value is going to be somewhere else. So I like to see what's coming in the world, like which innovations will come, or how we will be able to use the latest and greatest technology. While coding, from my point of view, it's going to be something legacy, like any other kind of industrial revolution. All right. If you asked people, I think it was with Henry Ford when he was asked, what do you think about cars? So if you were asking, he said, if you asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. And he came up with a car. So nobody knows what's coming in the future, but I think that we will adapt as always. Humans adapt, and probably I would like, as a person who is very curious, to focus on what's coming next.
Giorgio?
Yes, I'll keep coding.
That was clear.
I started doing this because I liked it, and as long as I enjoy doing it, I will. Will it be useless? Maybe. I don't care. It will become somebody. It will become like the new midlife crisis. And some people nowadays get into, I don't know, woodworking. It's not really relevant anymore, but they still need a hobby. And some people will probably start coding at 50 at some point, because the machines are doing everything at that point. It'll be handmade software.
And you, Ivan? Will you be coding?
Well, I actually, I don't know, to be honest. Maybe I will, but I think I invested so much time on this thing in my whole life, and we are doing it now as well, that I might change my priorities in the future. I might have to, because I dedicated too much time to this that I had to compensate, right? So probably not. But yeah, let's see. It's not that I don't like coding, but I did it already too long, for my personal opinion. So guys, we are done here. What did you think? I mean, it took us more than 2 hours and a half to record this thing. So it's a record, actually. Our last podcast, we did a huge break in the middle. So it was around 2 hours, more or less. But this one, it went too long.
Yeah, we're glad Juan had 2 coffees, so he made it.
Good. Giorgio, any closing thoughts here?
No, thank you very much for joining us. It was really fun.
And you helped us to come out with 2 more episodes for our content. So we can make Spotify happy.
Oh, really?
Our Lord. Good. And then hear you next week.